Well, what a difference a week can make. Last Tuesday, we were talking about an LSU loss and an embarrassing LSU loss at that, and a Saints loss. This week, we got a win at Missouri for the Tigers, and then the Saints won as well in dominant fashion against the Patriots. And we're back, and sometimes it's bad, and we got to break it down. That was the case last week. This week, though, it's the good, and we'll get to break that down on today's edition of Game Time with John Eads. Be sure to like it, subscribe on YouTube here if you haven't already, and follow the social media accounts. My personal accounts are on that graphic below there. It's at John Eads TV or John Eads WAFB. I got a couple different accounts. And then follow the WAFB pages as well, because we got our sports team and our news team that does great coverage as well, and they post out content every single day. Look, I said LSU would lose at Missouri. It was looking like they were going to for a while. They end up pulling out the win, though, so credit to them. I'll eat my words on that one, and we'll look ahead to the next game here against Auburn back at home. I feel like LSU's been on the road all season. Also, haven't mentioned this yet, and it's just dumb that I haven't. Thoughts and prayers with Greg Brooks. It seems like he's doing a lot better. He just got moved to St. Jude. LSU safety, of course, who's dealing with some brain cancer right now, but he's fighting strong, and the community's really rallying behind him. And LSU just started that fund to help pay for his medical bills, so definitely look into that if you're interested in doing that. And this team, with a great performance against Missouri, fighting for him, wearing the T-shirts, representing him, and doing it very well. So thoughts and prayers, as always, with Brooks. Of course, we'd love to have him on the field for the Tigers, but he's fighting a bigger battle right now, so certainly always in our prayers. With that, let's get into today's episode. We got 3 LSU topics. We're back at the board today for a film review, and we'll mix in the Saints as well. Okay, so the SEC West is the wild, wild West. I mean, it is barren out there. It is all the way in rural Oregon with how crazy it is, with the shootouts and whatnot going on right now. It's anybody's division right now, which is crazy. It's really a 3-team race with Alabama, LSU, and Ole Miss. It's honestly super fun to watch. It's going to be fun to follow the rest of the season because Ole Miss still has some big games to play. LSU still has some big games to play, namely against Alabama. And, of course, Alabama still has to play LSU. So it's going to be a race all the way to the finish. And LSU can certainly still win the division the way that it's going right now. So I just want to give you an update on how it's looking right now, how wild the top 3/4 is, and how LSU could win it, I suppose. So here's the update. It's a very tight race. Alabama's leading the way. They're 5-1, 3-0 in conference. They've already beaten Ole Miss. They've already beaten A&M as well. That was this past weekend. LSU right behind. They're 4-2, 3-1. That lone loss, of course, to Ole Miss, which might hurt when it comes to head-to-head at the end of the season and, who might win this division. But they've got some games left that they can kind of pad those stats with Auburn, Florida, A&M. They can get some wins there, but the season is all going to come down to that road trip to Tuscaloosa, and I'll talk about that in just a second. In third place, technically third, it's really a tied for second, is Ole Miss. They're 5-1 overall. 3-1 in SEC play. They beat LSU, of course, 2 weeks ago, so that's a really critical head-to-head that they have on their resume that LSU does not have. Games left for them that are important, really, it's Georgia on the road, their penultimate conference game of the season, and they play at Auburn as well. And then there's kind of a drop-off in the SEC West. There's Texas A&M. They're 4-2, 2-1, just lost to Alabama, really competitive game, and the only big win they have right now is Auburn. So, they've still got some big games left that they've got to play, namely LSU in the last game of the season there. And I thought that would be the SEC West Championship, but that would have meant that LSU didn't lose to Ole Miss, and then A&M beat Alabama this past weekend. It didn't happen. So those are the 4 teams that are in it. Auburn's kind of hanging around. They're 3-2, but winless, 0-2 right now, and they still have to play Alabama. They still have to play Ole Miss and LSU, and I don't think they're in competition for this division whatsoever. So that's what we're looking like right now. Bama's ahead by a game, you could say, and then LSU and Ole Miss are right behind, and then A&M's hanging around, and that's pretty much it for this division. I didn't mention the big games Alabama has left. They've still got to play Tennessee. That is a home game, and Tennessee's been a little shaky, but they're solid and certainly capable of pulling an upset. They did it last year, remember, in Knoxville there. They still have LSU, of course, and a road test against Kentucky, a Kentucky team that got embarrassed by Georgia this past weekend, but a team that can get physical, run the football, and they play pretty tough at home. So, seriously, I have no idea who's going to win this division at this point. But here's what matters for LSU. When you look at this division, and it's mostly division games LSU has left, minus Florida, the rest of them are SEC West games, you are far and away the best offense in this division that you will see the rest of the way. Ole Miss is hanging around. They're a top 15 offense, but LSU is the best offense in the SEC. They're top 3 in the country for total offense, top 5 for scoring offense, and then Ole Miss is at 13th there. You already played them, and that was a shootout, as it should have been. I mean, you know, the numbers certainly back that up, 55-49 in 2 top 15 offenses. But here's what the rest of the SEC West looks like from an offensive standpoint, and I'll tell you why this is important in a second. So Georgia, I know they're on the East. They're top 10. They're number 9. You won't play them unless you make it to the SEC title, so who really cares? The next closest team after Ole Miss that can compare with what LSU does offensively is Texas A&M. And for total offense, they're at 49th. So we're going from 3rd to 49th. And then LSU's in the middle. But that's how large the gap is for offensive competency, efficiency, and production, really. So you can't help but think that LSU could be favored in every game the rest of the season outside of Alabama, because they've got a superior offense, even Alabama, to everybody that they're playing. Alabama's offense, 86th in the country in total offense. It's a team that's been led by defense all year. And if LSU's offense can produce against that defense, like they've produced against good defense already this season, Missouri was a good defense, and they put up 49 on them. If they could bring that into that game and put up points on that Alabama defense, they can win that game. So here's the point. LSU's going to be 6-2 going to Tuscaloosa. They'll beat Army. They'll beat Auburn. I'm not even worried about either of those teams. Auburn's irrelevant in the SEC West this year. They just don't have the offense to compete with anybody, really, and it's Hugh Freeze's first year. And then, you know, I've seen Army play, but you'll beat Army, all right? I'm telling you that confidently. So the season all comes down to the road trip to Tuscaloosa against Alabama. That is the season right there. LSU 6-2, a 3rd loss. You're donezo for the SEC West, for the college football playoff, for the national championship. Nothing. But if they do what they did last year, beat Alabama, go on that late season run, everything that we thought this team could accomplish coming into the season is suddenly back on the table. You're 7-2. You got one of the best offenses in the country. You got a Heisman finalist, potentially, and Jaden Daniels at quarterback. And that defense was really bad against Ole Miss, but is getting better each week and changing things and tweaking things each week. So don't look now, but the season might not be over for LSU. The SEC title hopes may not be lost. The national championship hopes, there might be a glimmer of hope there. And it's all because of this offense and the schedule the rest of the way. 5 of your last 6 games are at home, mostly against SEC West opponents you are better than. Auburn, you are better than. A&M, you are better. Alabama's going to be the toughest game you have left. And that is what the season will hinge on, just as we thought it would coming into the year. So I've said this before, I'll say it again. This LSU offense will take this team as far as it can go. And that might mean beating Alabama and still finding a way to win this division. In a wild, wild year of the SEC West, perhaps LSU emerges again just like last year. It's going to be a fun ride. All right, switching gears a little bit, still sticking with LSU. On the note of that offense, though, if you're a recruit watching LSU football this year, you got to love what you're seeing and think to yourself, man, why don't I go there? Because as I just alluded to in the prior segment about the SEC West, this offense is completely transformed from last year. And we've talked about it probably twice a week at this point, why they're so good, what's led to this success, and what it means moving forward. Every position on this offense is elite this year. The offensive line, a Joe Moore award-winning contender. And that goes to the best offensive line in the country. That's how well they're playing. They're protecting Jaden Daniels. They're opening up holes for the run game. They're staying healthy, all of that. Mason Taylor and the tight end group doing what they can. It's more so been about the wide receivers this year, but Taylor is still picking his spots, catching critical passes, scoring touchdowns, executing blocks. He's playing well. And then the wide receivers, Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas. Need I say more? It might be the best wide receiver duo in the entire country with the way they're putting up numbers each and every week, with the way they complement each other's skill sets each and every week. Neighbors is the Lightning, and Thomas is the Thunder. That's how it is this year. So if you're a 5-star, a 4-star wide receiver, how can you not look at this offense and want to play? Where you're getting at least 10 targets a game, no matter if you're wide receiver 1, 2, or even 3. Kyron Lacey has been stepping up lately. He did so in this Missouri game. How can you not want to be a part of this offense? The offense is so open. They run it. They pass it. They don't lean on one or the other necessarily, and both produce huge, big numbers each and every game because of that balance, because of that efficiency. And then, I didn't even talk about the quarterback play. Jaden Daniels completely unlocked every locked door in this offense. There is nothing that Jaden Daniels cannot do with this offense. Downfield passing, short passing, quarterback runs, making plays for himself, maybe some off-schedule type plays, handing the ball off to a really solid and reliable running back, getting protection from the offensive line and the running back. Everything you could want as a quarterback, you're getting with this offense. And I said it before, I'll say it again. Jaden Daniels would be the Heisman front runner right now if LSU was 5-1. It's because of that 2 losses they have. There's some kind of stigma with people in the media, with people around the country, with college football fans. Once you get 2 losses on your resume and you're playing for that team, doesn't matter how good you are. People just think you're irrelevant. I don't really understand it. But then, 1 week after I say that, I'm seeing quarterback rankings in the SEC, quarterback rankings in the country. Oh, Jaden Daniels is number 1. No, he's always been number 1. Caleb Williams and what they're doing is really not that impressive. Jaden Daniels is the best quarterback in the country, hands down. He's been the best quarterback in the country all season because of what he's done, the work he's put in the offseason to take this offense to new heights and to flash what this unit and what this system can be under a quarterback that puts in the work and mixes that with the talents that they have, and that's what he's done. So if you're Bryce Underwood, a 5-star quarterback recruit from Michigan, plays at Belleville, it's a powerhouse. I grew up not too far from the high school. Why would you not want to come here? He plays pretty much the exact same way that Jaden Daniels does. He's got a great arm. He can use his legs. He's a perfect quarterback for this system. He's actually visiting this weekend against Auburn, and he's made a lot of visits. Michigan's hard after him. Every school in the country wants Bryce Underwood. But what Jaden Daniels is doing for himself and for the program is showing that a quarterback like that can succeed in this system and put up big numbers. So you don't need to go anywhere else. Other guys, how about 5-star running back Harlem Berry, who's from Metairie? Why would you not want to come play at LSU? You see what Logan Diggs is doing? LSU has picked one running back because he's proven to be dependent. He can run block, he can catch a pass, and he'll give you 10, 15 yards because he runs angry. Barry can do that. Caden Durham can do that. He's a current LSU commit in the 2024 class. He's a 4-star. Big build, 5'9", 195. He can play the exact same way Logan Diggs does. Why would you not want to just come and replicate that? Diggs is going to be a 1,000-yard running back this year, and if he comes back next year, he'll work himself perhaps into the top 3 rounds of the NFL draft. That's the blueprint. Why would you not want to follow that if you're him? And then you got DeCorian Moore as well. I'm pretty sure that's how you say his name. 5-star from Texas who committed to LSU a couple months ago. One of the top receiver recruits in the country for next year's class. A lot of people are like, oh, he just committed, he's going to decommit. Why would you decommit? You see what Brian Thomas is doing? You see what Malik Neighbors is doing? You see what they're doing with Jaden Daniels at quarterback? You can have the same thing happen with Bryce Underwood. So why not come here? You could still put up the numbers, the production, everything you need to do to be a first-round pick. And this offense, again, is top 5 in the country. if not top 3 right now. So why would you want to go to Texas when LSU is producing better than they are? So here's the point. I mean, we talk about how good this offense is for this year, and that's great, and they're going to take this team to, I think, some pretty high heights this year, maybe some that you don't think they're capable of. But when you zoom out and see the bird's eye perspective, this is big not only for this year, but in the coming years. Because as long as you're keeping the same system in place, you got legitimate film, legitimate results. You can show these recruits, hey, we're a top 3 offense, and you can help us be a top 3 offense again. And that is something to have in your back pocket that is massive on the recruiting trail, and it might help you get Bryce Underwood, the 5-star quarterback. Keep the 5-star receiver from Texas, and maybe bring in Harlan Berry, the 5-star running back, a couple classes from now. This 2025 class, if they see what LSU's doing this year, and they want to be a part of it, woo, it could be real special. So stay tuned for that. But I'm just letting you know what the offense is doing this year is not only good for potential trophies and accomplishments this year, but it could lead to some real big success and more hardware in the coming years. Keep that in mind. Okay, we will shift gears now to the Saints because it's kind of an inverse what we got going on here. LSU's playing great offense. The Saints aren't playing very good offense, but they got an elite defense. And all right, we're back at the board to talk about this LSU defense, but actually in a good way this week. And I didn't really think that would be possible last Tuesday when we were just really breaking this unit down and what they were doing wrong. But I was really impressed with how they used Harold Perkins in this game and how Brian Kelly says they're going to continue to use him the rest of the year. He's, of course, LSU's star linebacker who is a great pass rusher, but he's trying to develop more into a complete package linebacker this year, which involves coverages and stuff like that. But he's a guy with so much raw athleticism and talent. You can use him in some creative ways. And I've got 2 examples of that creativity that they used in the Missouri game that really, really helped this defense play well, especially in the second half when they held Missouri to just 14 points, pulled away, and won this game. So here's the first play. LSU with the X's defensively, Missouri with the O's. I know I sometimes mix those up, so I do apologize. All right, so here's what you got to look at here. It looks like it's a zone blitz from LSU here. They're bringing 4 guys. They're overloading the left side. There's 3 rushers, then the linebacker goes. Everybody behind is back into zone coverage. It looks like a cover 2 or a cover 3. So Harold Perkins is right here. He's boxed out for LSU, and then I circled Luther Burden, who is Missouri's star receiver who they had to shut down to win this game. So Perkins lines up off the edge. It looks like he's blitzing, which we know he likes to do all the time. That's not what he does here, though. So snap the football. These guys all run vertical routes. This ball is solely supposed to go to Burden right here, and here's what he does. So he's running kind of an in route to get to this open space right here, which Brady Cook, Missouri's quarterback, thought would be open. So here he goes. It's kind of a skinny post like that. So if Perkins blitzes, he's wide open. There's nobody covering this area. I mean, they drop back this guy, but look at this pocket of space here, right? But what they do is Perkins fakes like he's blitzing, drops back into coverage, turns his head, looks at Burden. He's not there. He covers this area. He man-to-man covers Burden in that space. Cook thinks he's going to be open, so he throws the pass, but it's picked off by Harold Perkins. That was an awesome play. And that's how you use him creatively. You make the defense and the quarterback think he's coming on the blitz right up into your nose, but you drop him back, man him up against their best receiver, and completely eliminate him from the play. And what's even better is that Perkins uses his hands, recognizes where the football is, and picks that pass off right there. That was awesome. That was a game-changing play. Those turnovers, this one specifically, may have been the difference in the game. That was an excellent schematic decision by LSU. Let's go to the next play. Same kind of deal here. So I mixed it up this time. It's the offense with the X's, defense with the O's. So another zone blitz from LSU. They got 3 down linemen that go, and then Penn, the middle linebacker, blitzes as well. And there's 4 receivers split out for Missouri. So they drop back into zone again. This is more of a cover 2 look. Look at this open space right here. It's not going to be open for much longer. So the guys to watch. Perkins, again, lined up off the edge like you might think he's blitzing. And then the Missouri receiver, I think it was Burden again, one-on-one. So it starts with a motion. He goes to the flat. Yeah, whatever. Snap comes, these guys blitz, these guys drop into zone. And again, they want to attack what they think is this open bracket of space right in here, right? There's nobody covering that zone. So they think, again, Perkins again, off the edge. They're trying to attack the middle there. So this guy runs another kind of a skinny post route. And Perkins, once again, drops back. Eyeballs on his eyeballs, follows him, takes him out of the play. This area of space is now covered by Perkins. And Cook goes this way, he goes this way, he's got nowhere to throw the football, he rolls out and throws it out of bounds. So they wanted to attack that area right there on a 3rd down and 7 and get that first down. And on film previously, against these coverages, you may have thought LSU would leave that space open, but not anymore when Perkins is dropping back when you think he's blitzing and stopping that pass. And it's hard as a quarterback to know when he's coming. You've got 2 or 3 seconds to figure it out, to dissect it, because Perkins is so fast that by the time you figure out if he's blitzing or dropping back into zone, if he's blitzing, you're already on the ground. And LSU, Brian Kelly said on the Paul Feinbaum show that they're shifting fully to a 4-man down front. So they're going to load up this line every game this season and make the quarterback think, is Perkins coming or is he dropping back into zone? And when he dropped back into zone in this game, it was extremely effective, forced turnovers, and really changed Missouri's offense, especially in the second half. So a great performance from Harold Perkins and the defensive staff making this adjustment, using a very talented player in some very creative ways to make a difference in the football game. We need to see more of that and this the rest of the season for continued improvement. I think this Saints defense is going to give this team an opportunity to compete in every game this year. Now, what the biggest question is can the offense complement them at all? So you see the lower third there, and I said the Saints defense is being saintly. Sometimes when you have a friend who just comes through for you, like you need a sucker, you need a pencil for a test, you need a ride to practice, you're like, dude, you're a Saint, or whatever, something like that. That's how the defense is performing for the Saints right now. Like, they're bailing out this offense. Some games they can do it enough to get a W, but some games they can't, as in the case of the Packers and Tampa Bay. But what I want to know is, can this offense complement that defense just a little bit better moving forward the rest of the season? Because that'll be the difference between you winning the division and just being a middle-of-the-pack 8-9 win team. We'll see on that. But why is this defense so good? I'll just flip on the Patriots and Saints tape and you'll see why. They were dominant against the Patriots, and that's why they won 34-0. It is not easy to shut a team out in any level of football, but especially in the NFL with the way the salary cap works and every team's got playmakers, but they did that against the Patriots. And mind you, New England's offense is not good at all. Like, it's terrible. The Bill Belichick era is coming to a pretty ugly close. But still, you go on the road to Gillette Stadium, a tough place to play, a place where other good teams in the NFL this year have struggled to pull out a win there. And I was at the point where it was halftime, and I was like, well, what am I making for lunch? I don't really need to watch this game anymore. And I really didn't pay attention to much of the second half. Now, obviously, I watched the film back, and I got some notes for you guys. I'm better than that. But, I mean, it was over at halftime, really, the way the Saints were playing, and it's because they just wreaked havoc up front in the secondary. Every level of that defense was completely dominant, and it started from the jump when the Honey Badger had the interception due to some excellent pressure by that defensive line, and it just continued on from there. Carl Granderson, this guy is a stud. Like, he'll just take plays out of the opposing team's playbook, take them out of the binder, rip them, ball them up, and throw them in the trash can. That's what Carl Granderson does to opposing offenses' playbooks. Like, he just destroys plays. You can't run them. Outside zone to the left, nope, Granderson's getting off a block, and he's bringing you down for a 4-yard loss in the backfield. You want to drop back and pass on second or third down? Nope, you don't have time, actually, because Granderson is right in your face, and you're getting sacked before you could even go from your first to your second read. This guy's a stud, and it's the entire defensive line. Cam Jordan, Roach, everybody on that line is making plays. And when you got a 4-man front that can get pressure, you got a really good defense and you got a really good team. Like, most teams crave the ability to just rush 4 guys and have it seem like they're actually rushing 6. And that's what you got with the Saints defense. That's why they're so good. And it makes everybody else around them look better. That's why these corners are playing well too. They do great in one-on-one coverage, but when the quarterbacks don't have time to make the reads or make a throw on a platform they want it to go to, guys like Paulson Adebo, Marshawn Lattimore, Alontae Taylor are just in better position to make plays on the football, which they can already do already. But when you complement that with pressure, yeah, it's pretty darn scary. And that's why New Orleans is tied for second in the NFL in interceptions. Probably one of the best teams in the NFL in the form of takeaways. I got them on my fantasy football team, and I'm loving it because each week they get picks, they get fumble recoveries, even sometimes a punt return touchdown. Like, how can you not love that? At the linebacker level, I don't want to leave them out either. Pete Werner and Demario Davis are playing well too. Davis stuffed a 4th and 2 run. He's playing physical. He's playing with an edge. Every level of this defense is unbelievable. Certainly a division-winning level of defense. The team is led by that unit for sure. Now what the big question is, as I said to lead off this segment here, is can the offense just complement this defense a little bit better? When they get a turnover, when they get a pick, can you then take the ball down the field and punch it in for a touchdown instead of settling for a field goal? That would be a big difference in the games where, it's 50-50, like Tampa Bay. That's the difference in winning. Scoring points off turnovers, but not 3. We're talking about 7. So I still got to see more from this offense. I got to see more from Derek Carr. But the point here is this defense, just like the LSU offense for the Tigers, will take this Saints team as far as it can go because of the way they force takeaways and because of the way that they can just game plan and shut down opposing offenses. Now, what you need to do if you're New Orleans is get that offense right and just kind of even the scales out a little bit here, get to an even point where the offense is helping out just as much of the defense, and then that might be your Super Bowl contending New Orleans team if we can just get more from this Saints offense. But this defense is great. You stay healthy, you're going to compete in every game this year, and that's got to feel good if you're a Saints fan to wake up on each and every game day and know, hey, we got a chance to win. You can thank your defense for that. All right, thanks for tuning into the episode. Got a lot done today. Back at the board. Got some LSU things done. And when we come back on Thursday, we will start talking about LSU and Auburn coming up on Saturday. I think it's going to be a pretty easy win. It's an 11.5-point spread. I know Auburn played Georgia tough. I know that, Hugh Freeze coaches them, and he's kind of a scary guy to go up against the way that he, can game plan on offense. But they just don't have the firepower on offense, in my opinion, to compete with this LSU team. Not many teams do, granted, but especially Auburn. All they got is a run game predicated on a dual-threat quarterback, but that means nothing when you don't have a passing game. But I'll talk more about that on Thursday. Should be an electric show. Again, like and subscribe if you haven't already. Be sure to check back with us on Thursday for that next episode, and hopefully we can get a prediction right this week for that LSU game there. Should be a lot of fun. We'll get back into the Saints as well. Maybe some more film review stuff too. We always have a good time here on Game Time. Thanks for tuning in. Catch you all on Thursday.